Well, hey guys, it has been a while. I think just over 3 years since I produced any new content. And here it is, early October 2024. Crazy how it's more like a early fall than mid-fall. Warm where I'm at here in the Rocky Mountain Desert. This September was more like a summer month than a fall month. But I'm out this morning fine-tuning a couple different loads, and thought I'd bring you guys along. And I really don't know what will happen here with the channel, if I will feel passionate again about producing content or not. I'm very thankful to Reloading Weatherby for awakening me to some things that I had maybe never known, maybe taken for granted or lost sight of. And I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason, and the connection that he and I made last week and how quick that evolved and where that's led to in the last few days, just honestly, I'm still digesting it all. Very thankful for everybody who's come out with all the nice comments and asking for more content. It means a lot more than you might know, and gives me some perspective that I may not have had or may have lost. So super thankful. And yeah, let's see what happens here today. I'll bring you up to speed on what I'm up to out here. Well, we're off to a good start. These were the first 3 shots this morning. Cold bore, fouled bore. And those are a 125 grain Nosler ballistic tip out of my 308, one of my 308s. This is actually one of the original Tikka T3s, about 20 years old. I don't know when Tikka introduced those into the marketplace, but it was around that time, I think. It's a rifle. If I had to just keep one rifle and sell everything, it's the biggest no-brainer of all time. This would be the one I would keep. It is unbelievable. Everything from these 125s to 180s, even 200s. It's sub MOA. You just saw that group. Cold bore. And guys, I'm running a little straight 6 scope. I'm doing that with 6X. The thing's just magic. It's a magic rifle. It's a 1 in 11 twist that Tikka runs. I don't know. It's just awesome. So more on that load here in a little bit. I've got another load with me. I'm going to run, and I'll circle back. We'll see what that one does. So I misspoke a little bit earlier. These are 125 grain AccuBombs, not ballistic tips. Sorry about that. I just sent another group. I adjusted the scope. I'm looking to be about 3 inches high at 100. We'll talk about that more later too. Second group opened up a little bit. It's probably 1.5 inches. That's obviously operator error. You've seen what the rifle's capable of. So I'm going to send another group, see if we can feel really good about being, about 2.5 to 3 inches high at 100. And then we'll dive into some of the details. While we're waiting for barrel cooling here, it's a good morning. There's a little breeze coming from behind. It still needs to cool a little bit. So maybe take a look at this Tikka T3. And that's a straight 6 Leupold 36 millimeter objective. I don't know, we could do a whole video on fixed power scopes, but this rifle has just been, as I mentioned, the most special rifle I've had. Not sentimentally, although that's growing, but now just because of it's so flexible. It's not picky about loads. Super reliable, super comfortable. With that scope on there, it's probably just over 6.5 pounds. And these 125 grain AccuBond loads are so light recoiling. So it's just a pleasure to shoot. Here's what they look like. There's some of those AccuBonds. You can see some of the load data there if you're interested. And we'll look at some ballistics here in a minute, but once this barrel's done cooling, I'm gonna send out another group. Barrel cooling again, that third group was right about 1 inch, but I wanna move it a little bit higher, so I just tweaked the scope. We'll send a few more down there. You know, as I'm walking up here to look at this last group, I guess one of the reasons, you know, that I'm not sure about this type of content is when I look at YouTube, there's incredible content creators around ballistics and shooting and reloading and stuff that are just incredible. I mean, including Reloading Weatherby. And I don't really think what I'm doing here is any different than any of that. And it feels like it's pretty saturated and there's lots of great resources out there. So thinking all that through, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to share some of those thought processes. And let's see here what happened up here. Well, I'm super happy with that. That's a 6-shot group. There's actually 2 in the same hole right there. Those 2 that are low, I tweaked the scope and I pushed those last 4 closer to that 2.5 to 3 mark, which is really what I'm looking for. So I think at this point, I'm gonna grab this target and call it good. I ended up not shooting any of the other load that I brought. I'll explain that here as we go. A couple weeks ago, my son and I were out and I did shoot that other load. It's 178 grain Hornady ELDX. It's lights out in this rifle. Extremely accurate, extremely consistent. And I was gonna hunt with that load. I have before, but then these last couple weeks, I've kind of thought, you know, I kind of think I want to run that AccuBond, that 125, and it's so enjoyable to shoot. And I already knew it was lights out of this rifle, so I just needed to dial it in a little bit. So we get back here to the truck, and I'm going to run over the ballistics of those 2 loads, and it's really just going to show the amazing versatility of the 308 that you guys all know that have watched in the past. I'm a huge fan of that. Let's see that versatility on paper. And you know, it'll be fun to run these 125s. I don't know if I'll get a chance on an animal or not, but if I do, it'll be great to report back maybe what happened. All right, guys, we talked about having this little ballistic comparison of these 2 different loads, and the one on the left here is this 178 grain ELDX, and like I said, I've run this for quite a while in my 308, and it's an amazing load. Half MOA, easy, and I can get about 2,600. So you can see here that if you zero it, you know, about 3 inches high at 100, it's extremely flat to 300. And you're still packing almost 2,000 foot-pounds of energy at 300. So what an amazing load for elk and deer. Very flat shooting to 300. You can see between 300 and 400 is where it starts to drop off in terms of trajectory. Drops to 20, 21 inches low at 400, which is still workable. I don't use adjustable scopes or whatever. I base anything on holdover, and I've never killed an elk at 400. The furthest I've killed one is 368. And so this would be an easy holdover on an elk. And you still have tons of energy, 1750 out to 400, so great for elk and deer. Hard hitter, great, and it's gonna, at these velocities, it's gonna be ideal performance from all the way out. From muzzle all the way out, you're gonna have tremendous controlled expansion, mushroom, all that stuff. And then you look over here at this other load, this one we shot today, the 125 grain AccuBond. I can get about 3,100 at the muzzle. You can see how flat that is. Again, if you zero it around 3 inches high at 100, at 300, you're basically just dead on. And it's at 400, you're only 12 low. So that's amazing trajectory. And at 400, look at that, you're packing almost 1,500 foot-pounds, which is my minimum for elk. So at impact. So that just is an amazing flat shooting load out of the old 308. Be a great open country deer, antelope load, or even elk. And I think that's an interesting topic to use this light of a bullet on elk. You can see with those velocities that I like that AccuBond to hold together if the shots were to be closer. Once you get past 200, then a lot of bullets would perform, but if something popped up at 100 yards at those velocities, I'd want that tough bonded bullet. So you can pause the video here and you can study these and the similarities and differences. I just think that's a really cool example of the versatility of the 308. You know, and it depends on what kind of game you're going after, what kind of country you're hunting in, whether or not, which one of these you'd want to pick as your load. And I just don't think you could really go wrong with either. I would go with the heavier bullet for maybe black bear and elk size game. The lighter bullet's great for deer and antelope. If you're experienced and you know you're going to put a great shot in there, that 125 grain AccuBond on elk out to 300, I think, is great. So we'll see. You know, we'll put some of that to the test. I've shot game with this load, and I already kind of know how it performs with both these loads, but it might be fun to share that with you guys if I'm fortunate enough to find some animals this year. So yeah, let's wrap it. Kind of a long video. Hopefully enjoyable. Look forward to your comments. And who knows, maybe we'll see you real soon.